Maybe. We're live.
Live. Welcome.
We'll give people a minute to kind of get on here. Are you Eastern time, John?
Yes.
Okay.
God's time zone? Yeah. God's time zone.
God's time zone. That's
Well,
a hot take already.
I've had that joke with Sean for a while since he lives in California, and when we record, it's a pain in the ass because he's got to get out of bed early to record. If we're recording in the morning, like I'll record 10 a.m. here at 7 a.m. in California. And so I keep telling him, if you just moved to God's time zone, we wouldn't have this problem. But when I went out to California, I realized they're watching college football at 9 a.m. And I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like maybe that's God's time.
Maybe that's
zone.
God's time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, guys.
We tried to both do it. Canada says, just finished watching Head to Head. Great job, Kate. Kate, tell the people what you did earlier today, like really recently.
I did a live head-to-head workout with Claire Bays. It was an old, I don't remember the workout, 20 point something.
20.1.
10 rounds for time, 8 ground to overhead, and 10 burpees. So I did 100 burpees, and it was actually really fun. She beat me by a rep, so we were neck and neck literally the entire time.
I was literally screaming at my screen, like, Kate, but like you can't see her. And I think if you could, you would have. I was like, it was, yeah. My other coach in the gym was like laughing at me because I was banging on my desk. I was getting hot.
It was fun. It was my first individual debut. I've never done an indie comp or anything individual for that reason. So that was really fun.
The podcast it was on is outside of the box.
Mm-hmm. Under Glinton things.
Yeah. If you want to check it out, see my millions of comments I was really, really gunning for you to get a max clean at the end, but
it sounds like I go back. Yeah. PC says, "Hey, losers," and John. So that was nice of him.
I guess.
I can't believe I didn't get thrown into the losers camp.
If you guys don't know, this is John Wooley, the past owner of Make Wads Great Again and Wooley Memeth.
Current owner. Do you want to tell the people? Do you want to tell the people like who you are? I know they know, but
I think everybody knows who I am. I mean,
tell the people.
I've never heard Make Wads Great Again referred to as the past owner. Like that feels weird.
It's like CrossFit kind of.
Yeah, I didn't sell it. It got taken away from me. It got just ruined by Instagram.
The owner of the past account. I don't. Okay.
I didn't know how to word that. Past owner. I don't know. Rest in peace. Make Wads Great Again.
You'll make me cry before this show even starts. I was just talking to someone the other day about how I really missed that page. I didn't think I would. When it went away, I'm like, all right, that's less hassles, less DMs, less pain in the ass, like less everything. And now I'm starting to miss it a little bit. Mostly because I had a lot of people I was connected with on there, and like you know people by their screen names, and then when they disappear, you don't know who they actually are, and it's miserable to try to find them again. Like it's really hard. Yeah.
But you're creating a really cool new thing too, so don't be sad.
Thanks. Yeah, no, it's fun. I'm running Wooley Memeth now, which is all the same stupid, barely jokes. And I'm running the podcast now with Sean. So Sean and I are doing Not for Time, which is kind of a fun little side project for both of us, just enjoying it. So that's me.
You have fans. You have fans.
Grant's here. He's back out of hiding. We had decided to ask John to come on because actually he made a comment on our post for WFP hot or not, and he kind of had a hot take that we'll get into later, but I immediately texted him and I was like, hey, do you want to be on the show tomorrow?
I don't think the take's that hot for whatever
but I think to everybody else it's going to be hot because I haven't heard a lot of people
say what you said.
Yeah. And you are in the space, past affiliate owner as well, but still in the community, and you are a businessman. So I think you have an interesting perspective when it comes to what's really going on. So I thought it was great to bring you on and kind of have a live chat. We are not interviewing him today, guys. We are just going to yap back and forth and do some hot or not for WFP.
I also don't think
So-
I've ever been called a businessman. I don't know why.
Kate,
the
you
business-
said former Instagram account, former
Former
affiliate
owner.
owner, businessman. Like, what? We're doing great. You're coming
He's
out.
a businessman.
I feel like you think I'm from the 1920s and I own a speakeasy. I don't
Oh.
know. I don't know. It's like just the verbiage businessman just sounded weird to me. I find things goofy. I'm sure it's the right term. It just sounds goofy to me.
But I also think it's interesting because you were at the first tour stop 1. You were there, watched it live. This past weekend, you live streamed it. Did you watch the whole thing or just bits and pieces?
Tiny bits and pieces. To say I watched it would be disingenuous. Like I didn't like set time aside. If I was free, I'd watch for a couple of minutes. Obviously I saw, some of the clips coming out, and I was in what was supposed to be the media photo journal, so I could use some of the photos, but there weren't any pics in there, so there wasn't much for me to use. So I kept up a little, but not the same level of commitment like going to Indianapolis and watching it in person.
Sure. So your take then from the bits and pieces or what you saw on the internet, overall WFP, hot or not?
Just the entirety of WFP?
Entirety of WFP.
Is there a medium option? No, I mean, like,
No.
no.
Have you heard fence riding is frowned upon?
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'd put them in the hot category. I don't have any reason to say they're not, although I can certainly criticize like anyone else. There are plenty of things to look at in any business to criticize, but I think they're, an upstart young business. You could consider them a disruptor to some degree, not completely, but a little bit. And so, yeah, I think that makes them hot.
What
Mesa?
did you? Oh, am I just giving my overall?
I was just gonna have you do overall hot or not. What do you think?
Hot.
I also think hot. So all three of us are on the same side for once, which is interesting. What do you have anything to point out, Mesa?
I mean, I have a lot of things to point out, but we were there. We were at both, so I feel like we have a decent opinion of. We've also both been to the games, both went to Wadapalooza, so we have like some stuff to compare it to. Yes, of course, like John said, there's things that it's so weird. I don't want to call you John. I want to call you Wooley because that's like
fine.
Do people call you that in real life?
Yeah, I get called
John?
Wooley more often than not. I get called Wooley.
Okay.
My
Well,
close
Wooley
friends
said-
my close friends call me JFW, but most everybody else calls
Okay,
me
so
Wooley.
JFW.
That's fine. That's fine.
No, I agree. Like there's things to be criticized, and obviously we'll get into that. And I would like to kind of touch on the interview you sent me, Kate, with Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And I think overall, you have a competition that, yes, there was some mishaps, but overall was a successful event. Like from start to finish, all the events were carried out. The athletes competed. There was podium, all that. You have athletes of that caliber that, to my understanding and from my direct communication with them, were very happy with the event. I think how can we sit here and be like, not like you're just being a hater at that point, is my opinion.
Yeah, I think as a general overview, obviously, like both of you guys said, there were some mishaps and things that can improve and get better. But I think that's silly to think that after 2 events, everybody has everything figured out, right? I mean, even your second day on a job, you're brand new to a company. You don't know what you're doing. If you organize events, or it's definitely trial and error. And we have some examples like from CrossFit and other larger events, Wadapalooza, to learn from. But like once you're in it and your boots on the ground really doing it, like it really is just trial by error and figuring it out on the fly. The things that you can never prepare for are going to happen, and you just have to figure out how to deal with it in real time.
So you were at event 1, the whole thing, all the days. Give us your take, like first on tour stop 1, what you thought of it, what your like closing thoughts were being there.
I mean, I thought it was a great event. It's better compared to a Wadapalooza than the games, or maybe even like regionals. It's certainly like I look at it and it's like it's not the games. It's a totally different vibe. You're competing for a different prize. The athletes have different motivation. Like it's not the same. So they shouldn't even be attempting to do the same thing in that regard. So I think as a fan, like going and looking at it, and recognizing it as what it was made it a fun event, because I didn't have any other expectations. I didn't expect it to be a games level event. I just wanted it to be entertaining and worth the money I spent on it, because it wasn't, a cheap trip, to get over there. From a fan experience, I thought they did some things really well. I liked the community event. I did the workout. Saxon had programmed it and it kicked my ass, and I thought I'd do really well and I didn't, which is typically my experience in fitness. But it was still fun. And I got to, work out with a bunch of people. So that was cool. I thought the vendor village was kind of lame. Sounded like that carried over a little bit to Mesa, but truthfully, like, with the exception of the games, which isn't always a spot on home run when it comes to vendor village, although there certainly have been years where it's been great. Like, I was just at the age group games. Vendor village was lame there. Like, no, I don't think you go to those things to shop. Like some people do, but it's not the point. Right.
Yeah.
So I don't fault anyone, CrossFit or otherwise, for a bad vendor village. Other than that, Tour Stop 1, I thought, the events were good. Competition was fun. It felt a little off from an athlete perspective, like, meaning, like when you're at the games and you watch people compete, it feels like they'll do anything for first, right? And even like right up until the end, even when they know they got no shot of winning, they're still like putting it all out on the line. And there were times during Tour Stop 1, I'm like, I think they're phoning this in a little bit,
Okay.
And I can't blame the athletes for that. They're getting a salary. They got another competition coming up. They're not in peak form, So it's still, as a fan, it's still fun to watch them. It's just not the same vibe. Right. And that's what I got out of it mostly.
Do you think more of an exhibition maybe is the better way to put it?
It doesn't feel like an exhibition. It just feels like you're getting the best out of the people that can give it in that moment. We've heard this a little, especially coming off the games into this. Like, there's no way Hopper was coming in to Tour Stop 2 at full power. Like, there's no way. He nearly, crushed himself to win the CrossFit Games, and kudos to him because it's well deserved. But I didn't expect him to go to Tour Stop 1 and do it. But then you get the trade-off of Sprague did pretty damn good, and he did really good at the games too. So that, you could make the counter argument that some of them can do it. So for me as a fan, it's interesting to see who can and who can't. I just don't think you can go into it thinking I'm going to get to see the fittest man on earth, Jason Hopper, come out and kick everyone's ass 2 weeks after doing it in Albany. Like, it's just not feasible.
I think that's fair. So what if, there's a lot of rumors that they're going to have to decide either between WFP and CrossFit. If that were to be true, do you think the vibe would then change, or do you think that what you're describing would stay the same?
Yeah, no, I think the vibe would change, and I think it'd be good for CrossFit, if I'm being honest. Like I've heard, I hear a lot of people complaining, and they'll complain to me about it, or argue with me even when I didn't start the argument. But this is the one I often hear is like, once they have to choose, it's going to hurt CrossFit, and I just don't believe that to be true. I don't believe that the fittest people on earth, the best, want to compete in what's viewed currently as a lesser league. Name one person that would choose to go play for the Canadian Football League over the NFL, given the option. Champions go where other champions are. It's that simple. That's not to say some won't. And we've seen a few that have said, all right, don't believe in CrossFit anymore, so I'm going to move on, which is their right to do so. But I think, generally speaking, the core of the athlete base, and I can't see any of those guys choosing WFP over, CrossFit, except, those that are, I want to be careful how I say this, because I don't mean this as disrespect, but if you're in like a lower tier, if you're not going to win, but you're probably still in that 40 to 20 range, the salary looks pretty good. Considering they don't pay past 21st place, right?
Yeah, I do think. Well, okay. So what about Laura Horvath? Because she decided to sit out, and arguably, definitely a podium athlete. And I know Christoph said that there's potential for her to come back to CrossFit eventually. But you think about her and Pat, because Pat sat out as well. Pretty big athletes. I do think this year will be a telling year after they've had a whole season ahead of behind them now to see what happens if they do have to choose and what that looks like later. Because now they have a little bit of experience of both. Even the people who have sat out of CrossFit this year, they're like, oh, we don't like CrossFit. We're going to leave and do something else. But maybe the grass isn't always greener. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens after the conclusion of both seasons.
Well, no one dropped out of the CrossFit Games competition, though, to specifically go do WFP. They dropped out because they're pissed at CrossFit. And again, it's their right to do so. If they, I just don't think you'll ever see people choose for a competition choice, choose WFP over, the fittest on earth, which has been.
Do you think right now or ever?
Well, I mean, there's too many variables to answer that. I mean, CrossFit owns the space right now. So if they're willing to continue to evolve and grow and innovate and make it a great fan experience. And I got no reason to believe they won't do these things. None of that's a criticism. I think they absolutely can do these things. They're smart enough to do it. But if you're providing value to your fans and to your athletes, why would anyone cede space to them?
So I think my only counter argument to that is just having, in the 2 tour stops I've been at and getting the opportunity to talk to a lot of athletes, multiple of them said that there's nowhere else besides the games where they get to compete against a field that deep that also includes international athletes, right? Because the Americans aren't going to get to compete against the Europeans unless it's at the games. So this is giving them a better opportunity to compete against the best. And then I think the other thing I would say is, so I know in some interview, DB said that she decided to do the games this year or this past season because the people that she was most competitive with and her friends like Emily Rolfe and Ariel decided to do it. So that was the deciding factor. So if they make them choose and Ariel's like, hey, I'm just going to do WFP, then maybe DB's like, I'm just going to do WFP. And we were talking to Gabby there and she's like, I want to compete where the best are competing. And so if some of the best, I don't think if they did it next year, you'd get all the best, but do you think there's potential 2-3 years down the line, they continue on the trajectory they're on of growing, that they are something that athletes might be like, this is a better season, this is more stable, they seem like they're sticking around, that might be the move?
It's possible. I mean, I would sooner believe they'll have a better chance of growing their own cast of athletes, through the tour card or whatever they're calling it. These young athletes coming up after you do enough of those competitions, they'll build some loyalty and, build relationships within that community and want to stick to it. I can't see someone who can actually win a championship wanting to compete for anything other than fittest on earth in this current space. Now, could that change? Sure. You could have another catastrophic event. You could, the next sale of CrossFit could blow the whole thing up. Who the hell knows? There's so many variables. But if nothing changed from today to 10 years from now, CrossFit's going to dominate the space and champions are going to play for fittest on earth and everyone else is going to take their scraps. Doesn't mean that WFP can't build a great product that has some terrific athletes and people want to come watch it. Just means they're not going to put CrossFit out of business.
So that being said, the field of athletes that were at WFP Tour Stop 2, we'll just say, or as a whole, 1 and 2, because there were some people, some pretty big names that were at WFP and not at the CrossFit Games and vice versa. Do we think the field of athletes at WFP was hot or not overall?
Oh, do I think the total field was hot or not? Oh, yeah, hot. Yeah, all the best athletes were there. They were great. Men and women. I mean, I think I only get disappointed in the WFP when some of the, like Haley Adams dropping out. I'm like, damn it. I love Haley. She's fun to watch. And that's the point, So that's probably the only, gig I would give them on the athlete side, but they've got a terrific cast and those young athletes coming up are super fun.
So just rewinding a little to what you said about the title of fittest on earth. So we hear this all the time, right? People are like, well, the CrossFit Games is crowning the fittest on earth. What is every other competition crowning, right? So do you think because people like me or you or Kate have been in the CrossFit space for so long that we hold fittest on earth at this title as this so valuable, and that's what people, but some of these new athletes that are starting now when they're 18 and there is more options might be it's winning this or winning the fittest on earth. It's just winning a competition. Like, we might think that title seems so valuable, but when there's more options and you're new in the sport, because I was thinking that when we looked at the field at WFP, within the next 2 years, it's going to be a completely different field. Over half of those people will retire in the next maybe 2 to 4 years. Like, half of them are in the very end of their career. So when all these influx of new athletes come in, do you think they will care about the fittest on earth as much as we do? Or like everyone who's saying WFP is not crowning the fittest on earth, like what does that truly, like, what value does that truly hold for people who haven't heard that for 10, 15, 20 years?
Well, the value is the legacy. You don't want to be, James Sprague or Hopper. Again, kudos to him. Hopper, he wants to be fittest on earth, but he doesn't. He wants to be Matt Frazier or Rich Froning 6 times. He wants to be the 6-time fittest man on earth. The next, group of female athletes want to be Tia Toomey. It's legacy. If I were an 18-year-old starting this sport and wanting to go, I want to go where the champions have been. If I play basketball, I want to go where Michael Jordan has been, right? Like, that's how it works. You go where the legacy is, and that's what CrossFit's got in spades. I mean, again, kudos to them. When you really look back from, my experience with the CrossFit Games was started in 2012. And, I came up under Rich Froning and Annie Thorsdottir. Those were the ones winning in those days. And they built this fan base of, oh my God, they're doing things I can't believe humans can do. And then you saw Frazier come up and Tia, and they started doing even greater things. And now you have this legacy of people doing stuff that you're like, holy shit, how can everyday normal people get this fit and do those things? And I think these kids coming up see that and go, if she can do it 7 times, can I do 8? If he can do it 5 times, can I do it 6?
Mm-hmm.
Rich has got, this monster legacy of, 4 individual wins and God knows how many team wins, over a decade, and still ridiculously fit. I got to believe people look at that and go, I want to be Rich Froning. And you can only do that when you hold the title of fittest on earth.
I think there is a lot to be said about the title. Like, my dogs are deciding right now that they need to be fighting. There is a lot to be said about the title, and I think what you're saying is true. But then if we look at, I can't remember if it's a rumor or somebody confirmed it, but that there's potentially like 6-figure salaries that are contracts that are going to be going to these athletes. So yeah, that's great if you win fittest on earth, right? Because you get $250,000 or whatever the prize purse is. But anything after that kind of sucks. Or you can have a season that's released 6 months ahead of time. You know exactly what you're signing up for, what your contract says, and you know that you're going to earn money. And I think Jason talked about that on his interview on Coffee Pods and Wads, that those newer athletes are really struggling how to make a living out of CrossFit. And like WFP, kind of like Mesa was saying, maybe that's the option for them to go so they know that they can survive and be a full-time athlete.
Possible.
Yeah.
I mean, but you say it like CrossFit's not going to make any changes on their end either.
We don't know. We don't know. Yeah.
We don't know.
Like, it's possible, but it's hard. I hope if they both continue to exist, which we'll assume they will, that WFP pushes CrossFit to have to offer better things for the athletes to exist, right? Like, you look at someone like Pat Vellner, who has a family, who has kids, like, if he doesn't podium, how's he providing, right? Like, I get sponsors and whatever, but having a sport where the season changes every season, all that makes it harder to get sponsorships. I think the WFP layout, and what you're saying about legacy, 100%, but that legacy didn't exist on CrossFit Games #2. So, like, it's possible WFP. What if Laura goes and wins 4 years in a row, 5 years in a row of WFP per se? People might say, I want to be like Laura Horvath, and then WFP has a legacy. I think people want WFP to have all these things that CrossFit never had at first. Like, I would say WFP year 1 is leagues ahead of where CrossFit was year 5. Like, I think we can't expect them to be where CrossFit is when they've been existing for 20 years. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would hope they were, farther ahead than CrossFit was at this point. All the people running it came from CrossFit. I mean, literally everyone on the medical team, everyone on the volunteer team, everyone running it, athletes everywhere. I mean, God, I would hope so. But you're right. it is better now. And maybe they will cause CrossFit to change some stuff. You might see you might see WFP have to change some stuff to stay financially viable. I'll give you an example. I was reading this today. It blew my mind. I mentioned that WFP could be a disruptor. An example of a disruptor in business is like Uber, right? They came in and destroyed the taxi business, destroyed it, right? And unions had to fight to keep taxis in business. But, ultimately, who doesn't have Uber on their phone or Lyft, right? They changed an industry by doing something different. Well, someone posted this picture. It was an article, and it's called Uber Wait or something like that. And basically what it is, at these airports, they have a big Uber sign. You walk over and you hit your Uber app and it gives you a PIN number, and you get in any Uber and give them your PIN and drive off. And I'm like, that's cool. But now you've just gone back to being taxis. That's what a taxi is. You've come full circle now. Uber is now a taxi service. And so my point to that is, we got no idea what either of these companies will look like 10 years. We don't know what CrossFit's going to look like 6 months from now, for God's sakes. And certainly not WFP. There's so many variables there. So it'd be disingenuous to give you a solid answer on it, but I do think it will probably cause both of them to make some changes in how you deal with fans and athletes and figure out, what does that title mean to people?
But I think that's good, right? Somebody to kind of challenge, because CrossFit's never really had any competitors, and having somebody to kind of challenge you on how you do things and make you look at things a little bit differently, learning from each other's experience. Maybe that's not such a bad thing, and it maybe will help both parties grow. Maybe
it should help CrossFit save money.
Tell us why.
It should be this is like one of the many reasons why I think WFP is great for CrossFit. Like, CrossFit should be funding them to some degree. So to your point, forcing someone to change, what CrossFit has the benefit of doing now is watching WFP make mistakes and taking notes and going, not going to do that. And every time a fan complains about something in the fan experience, taking notes and go, yep, we shouldn't do that. Yep. And every time the support teams, who, by the way, again, all work for CrossFit and a lot of the media too, when they all come out for the debrief, asking those people questions around what happened and saying, not going to do that, not going to do that, should do that. All of this is free for them. It's like a free focus group. They don't have to spend a single penny in marketing or manpower to get all the information they need to know about competitions that, and obviously they've run plenty and they will continue to run plenty, but why the hell make mistakes live and on the job if you don't have to?
For sure. And I think that's like what you're saying. Anytime there's competition, it raises the bar, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about the athlete experience, tell me what you mean by that.
Well, that was at Tour Stop 1. I happened to be in the same hotel as athletes. It was a total just fluke. I didn't schedule it. I didn't know they were going to be there, but
no, just kidding.
No, it's true. I'm sitting at the bar having a drink, and Justin Medeiros' parents walk in. I'm like, oh shit. Cause I know a lot of the parents, and yeah, I did actually.
His parents are awesome.
Yeah, they're great. But as soon as I saw him walking in, I'm like, shit, I'm in the athlete hotel. And then sure as the world, Emily Roth walks in, Danny Spiegel, like they just start filing in. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting here at the bar drinking tequila, looking out of shape. And these people, they're not even wearing shirts. They're not even competing. And they're just walking in, with their shirts off. Anyway, sorry, I got off my point there, but they all came in and all said the same thing to me, which was, man, they really took great care of us this weekend. They booked our hotel rooms, they booked our flights, and backstage they were having special accommodations. And, again, I'm not comparing to CrossFit there. CrossFit, at least from my experience or what I have seen, treats athletes really well. But they definitely were kind of geeked out about how it felt. Like, you didn't feel like you were just coming in to compete. You felt like you were part of the team. And I think that's meaningful for athletes to feel like they're a part of something bigger than just, hey, I'm showing up, competing, and going back home.
Yeah, I agree. So at Tour Stop 1, I interviewed James Sprague, and he's coming off being the fittest man on earth. And he said this in an activation. And then I asked him, I wish we had more followers for this interview to be more public, but he said, this is the first time I have ever felt like talent and not like an object. And he said, he was like, from the way they've treated us, from everything. And this is someone who just won the CrossFit Games. If anyone should feel like talent, it should be him. And I thought that, and James, I would say, is like, he hasn't been super controversial about CrossFit. He's not someone who's like, I'm not competing at the CrossFit Games. So for him as the Games champion to turn around and say that at Tour Stop 1, I think was so much more meaningful than people realize. And they did a bunch of like silly little things, like brought the athletes water and snacks to the airport when they picked them up. But like those things, do we lose you, Kate? I think those things matter. And I think like an accumulation of all those small things. And then the other thing I wanted to get into, which might be a little more controversial. So regardless of how you feel personally about Dave Castro, him being the director of the games is going to be polarizing. People are going to have different feelings towards it. I don't think Will Morad is polarizing in any way. I would say from the athlete's perspective, he's done the thing. He knows a lot of them. He's walking around. I don't think there's like maybe a very small portion of the media, but generally I don't think there's like Will Morad haters. No one's like that guy. And I think that matters from a like, I say like vibe perspective, maybe athlete experience perspective, maybe the like stress levels of the director of the sport is just a very well-liked person. And I think from a marketing perspective, that matters. Like, what is your thought on that?
Well, Dave and I are besties now, so
Yeah.
I
Apparently
can't.
so.
Yeah, well, you saw the photo together.
I
We're
know
hugging.
how you feel, but I will say that like there's people who love Dave, so I get it. But either you can remove feelings from it. We know that there are very strong opinions about him.
Yeah, oh, of course. I guess I'm just trying to. What's the real question here? Are people more attracted to the WFP because Will's a nicer guy? Is that what we're?
Yeah, I mean, like, do you think that makes a huge difference when you look at athlete experience, when you look at all of those things, that the director of sport is someone who might be more generally liked, respected, etc.?
Oh, no, I wouldn't take it into account. I mean, again, I think it's two different. It's two different businesses that have been run differently for a long period of time. If you look back at the history of CrossFit and Dave's role in it, Dave's got it's been a tongue in cheek, Dave Castro was a prick t-shirt people were wearing, 10 years ago, for God's sakes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's part of the culture, and, all of Dave and everybody else. And even as far as the early 2010s when I started, because I vividly remember this, CrossFit had a deep culture of if you're not puking, you're not doing it right.
Yep.
Right. Like it was just like a brutal thing. It was like we did everything at the time to see who could do the hardest thing. So Dave's never had to hug or coddle anyone ever. And in the early days, that's what they wanted. Everyone wanted that. So the athlete experience has changed because athletes have changed. And, whether CrossFit will evolve completely to that ever, I don't know. I don't think they need to, but you never know.
I don't think, like, I know some voices are loud about Dave Castro and people not liking him. Just as there's a lot of loud voices that people don't like Will Morad, but I don't think either of them is enough. Like, I think they still have the large majority in whatever party they're in. Like, I still think there's way more people that like Dave Castro than don't. And then I think there's way more people that like Will Morad than who don't. Like, I think they both have equal support.
I don't know Will at all. I don't think I've ever met him, talked to him in any degree. I will tell you this about Dave. I'm like just a creature of people watching, right? Anytime I'm at an event, I'm just people watching the whole day. And so when I was at the games and I saw Dave, I went and talked to him real quick. Pat introduced me to him. So thanks, Patrick Clark, for that. We took a photo, did our thing, and went our separate ways. But I watched him for the rest of the day. That dude spent the entire day talking to athletes, the entire day. He wasn't screwing around watching the workouts or talking to Boz or doing whatever. He was literally just athlete to athlete to athlete, shaking hands, taking photos. So how they feel about him, I can't tell you, but he very clearly loves athletes. And he got a lot of respect for me on that day. Just getting a chance to watch him in person and see how he interacts with people. It was a cool experience.
Fair.
And I think too, just hearing you say that says a lot, because I think people think that you also hate CrossFit, right? Like that's sometimes the narrative is that
Yeah, some do, but they're idiots.
You challenge them. So your perspective has either changed, which says a lot, that you can think one thing and then, learn and grow from that, or just that you can see both sides. And I think it's both. You can be unblocked now.
Yeah, I don't actually, Dave said no. We talked about that. He was like, no, I'm not unblocking you. I'm like, good. I blocked you back. That's what I told him. Yeah.
It's good for the bit.
Yeah, it is good for the bit. I don't think my perspective has changed at all on CrossFit, the methodology. Like I've had the same viewpoint on that since, probably 2012. It took me a year to not die. And then once I started to figure out what I was doing, then I started building, some knowledge on what CrossFit is and isn't. And it's never changed, and it never will change. It's been life-changing for me. Saved my father's life, for God's sakes. Why would I change on that? I certainly have had very vocal criticisms on HQ, which by extension is Berkshire Partners. I don't think it's unfair to harshly criticize corporations. Corporations are heartless, thoughtless. They're just entities designed for, to make sure the taxes are processed correctly and that individuals aren't held personally accountable for the actions of their shitty company. That's what corporations are designed for. So you can't be mad at them, but it's totally fair to have harsh criticism about decisions that they make. And that's been my viewpoint all along. But I do think, I've had impressions of Dave from seeing his interactions with me online and some others. And, I'm not sure those have changed completely, but getting a chance to see him in person did give me a new perspective on him and a new appreciation for what he does for the community, what he does for athletes, and most importantly, how he feels about the athletes. Like, it clearly was not someone who sits around and goes, all right, I'm going to create this workout that's going to blow out everyone's pecs and we'll have a couple of torn ACLs. That'll be great. Like, this is a guy that was talking to age group athletes, like people my age, and acting like he was talking to Rich Froning, which is very cool.
Let's talk about the live stream, because that was a hot topic as well. In person, it looks fine. And I honestly did not watch any of the live stream because we were there. I saw bits and pieces that they actually had streamed in the lobby or the cafeteria. My parents, however, watched, and my parents said it was really dark. But I know that's been a complaint, if you will, for the last 2 tour stops. Mesa, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, same as you. I mean, I didn't watch it because I was there. I was literally on the floor for every event, but yeah, I mean, I just feel like I can't really speak to this one. I did go back and watch some of Tour Stop 1 after all of that came out about the lighting and all of that. I thought it was pretty good. I also am not someone who is ever like, wow, that was the worst coverage of all time. Like, I just enjoy watching athletes. I'm not hypercritical on that if I can generally see it. But Willie, you were not there for Tour Stop 2, so thoughts?
Yeah, not there in person. I mean, I looked at it on the stream. I don't know. I hear the complaints about the dark lighting. Dark lighting doesn't bother me personally, but I do think it's something they should probably be looking at and thinking about. I mean, there's certainly a lot of value in thinking about what the people at home are seeing. If it's too dark for them to really understand what's going on, what the hell are you doing? My only real issue with them right now is just the accessibility of it. Just like getting to it quickly, not having to go to their website. Like, I understand from a business perspective why they do it. So I'm not offended by it. It doesn't bother me. Like, it's better to own your own property than to give it away to somebody else. But man, when you're brand new and trying to build a following, you got to give some stuff away.
So I definitely don't disagree. YouTube is obviously way easier to navigate and accessible for everyone. But I had a conversation with somebody there, and he kind of broke down why they did it that way. And it's really just to reach more people due to the language translation. I guess YouTube only translates the captions, but on whatever they use for WFP, it actually, flips the audio into different languages, and they're really just trying to reach larger markets. And if we think about it, CrossFit is, I feel like sometimes everyone outside the US kind of gets forgotten, or maybe as a second priority. And so their values and goals is really to reach more markets and make everyone feel more important. And that sometimes I'm like, why don't we just say that? And maybe they have said that, because to me, and I'm like, oh my God, now my Roomba is gonna go off for some reason. And now my dogs are, I'm so sorry. This happens every time I'm on here for some reason. Anyway, does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I also think like I can respect the fact that someone's like, we want to do it this way for these reasons, and we're not going to cave to what everyone like. I think also, if the hardest thing about it is that you have to go on a website and you can't click on YouTube, like I think sometimes CrossFit is so small we forget that we're not entitled to all these things as fans that we think we're entitled to, and all this like we want information on everything that I don't feel like bigger companies, like everyone's like, give us all the financials. How are they doing this? Like, I don't know any company in the world that's telling me how they're funding every part of their like business venture. I think like if they say we're putting it on the WFP website because we want to offer it in more languages, and everyone's like so up in arms about that and can't think outside of, hey, outside of the States, this might make more sense. And we're trying to, it's the World Fitness Project. Like that seems like a selfish take to me. I don't know.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree, but you know, by the same token, you want to be able to get to the people that want to watch it. And I mean, bluntly, if I'm on my couch and I use Apple TV, so I got the apps on the TV, right? And I'm very routinely flipping back between, I don't know, HBO and YouTube, right?
Mm-hmm.
If my third option is I have to get up and come downstairs to log into this computer so I can watch your show, guess which one I'm not doing? I'm not doing that third option. It's too much work. That's the point of YouTube. And I appreciate that they want to get it to a more diverse audience that can do the language. I guess I would challenge them. Why can't you do both? Why can't you put it on your website and tell people, hey, if you don't speak English, this is where you need to go. And if you do speak English, it's over on YouTube as well. I mean, you know, the chief complaint everybody has about WFP, and it's the weirdest complaint ever, is that they're, you know, are they financially viable? Like this entire, you know, like the entire community is just full of, you know, finance majors. They don't have the money to do this. We all know they don't have the money. You know who has the money? Red Bull and Adidas. $50 billion combined is what those companies are worth, right? So explain to me why the sponsorship money those two companies are paying them isn't going toward YouTube. The YouTube stream is not a big deal. You know, I understand why they're doing it. My point is that I think the complaints people are having are a little misguided. And I think WFP needs to come off this, you know, website grasp that they have on it and say, maybe this is the one complaint coming out of this community that's pretty valid. And they could start building some lifelong fans by giving them easier access.
I do think that it is kind of cool, though, that they feel, whether we think it's misguided or not, that they feel so strongly about something and they're not willing to budge or like give up on what they feel strongly about. It's because it would be so easy to be like, oh, you know what? You're right. Everybody's complaining about this. Let's just change it. But it is so important to them that they're standing their ground. I think that's cool. Again, like, understand what everybody is saying. I think Torian's first day or first event was also on their website or some other website, and I hated it. So like I get it, but I do think it's kind of cool to stand your ground and do what you believe in.
Well, they may be waiting on something else that we're just not seeing. I mean, you know, Red Bull they don't make money on their sodas. I mean, they do, but it's not their main revenue stream anymore. Now they're sponsoring teams.
Yep.
F1, soccer, whatever, and now functional fitness. And every time they plant their flag in something, it becomes really successful. That's why you see the X Games on ESPN all the time, and you know, all these other, you know, teams and sports are sponsoring. So I think at some point maybe Red Bull is going to come forward and say, all right, here's what we're doing, and here's the service that's going to go on, and maybe it'll show up on Netflix or wherever because they'll have that Red Bull money behind them. Maybe.
And Red Bull has like an entire streaming service, like side of its business on itself. Like it's on its own, I'm pretty sure, right?
I don't know. I mean, I guess my point is maybe they're just waiting to see what the traction is early on before they decide to say, all right, let's give them, you know, kind of this bigger platform, you know, let them, to the earlier points made, let them iron out, you know, get all the bugs out of it,
Yep.
get it perfect, and then we'll give you something else. And maybe that's why they're not on YouTube now. Just currently it sucks. That's my point.
Patrick says, if WFP was on a streaming service, would there still be complaints? I say yes. It would be about the lighting, or there'd be glitches in the stream, or it doesn't matter what anybody does. It could be Wadapalooza, the games, WFP. There's always complaints, no matter how well you do.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to complain, because that's what we like to do.
Well, did you watch Jason's interview on Coffee Pods and Wads?
Did not.
Kate, do you want to chat about this a little bit?
So Jason is the competition director of North America. I'm going to get some words wrong, so don't shoot me. I don't work for the WFP either, so I don't know everything. But I think it was a really good conversation between him and, is it Pedro? I really don't know what his real name is.
Coffee Pods and Wads. That's fine.
Coffee Pods and Wads. And I wish they would have done something like this from the start. And honestly, maybe it was Peter. Thank you, Jan. Peter, maybe it was his questions, and he is, I think, really good at interviewing people. So maybe it was the questions that brought out the conversation. But I feel like he answered a lot of things, everything that he could. There's going to be things that he can't say and can't disclose right now. But I think he was very forthcoming and personable with everything that he was asking. And I almost think that if that conversation would have happened sooner, that maybe people wouldn't be spinning the transparency narrative with WFP. I thought it was a really good interview.
I also think, before we get into the details of that interview, like, we're literally in month 3 of WFP existing, 4. Like, people are like, they need to tell us everything. They need to be so transparent. Like, some of it they might just not know yet. Like, some of it might be they're figuring it out. And I don't know where this thing is that, like, they have to have everything perfect and everything has to be told to every viewer by their second ever event. That when they're like, it's, well, I don't understand that.
Let's be fair. The business was born out of being pissed off at CrossFit.
Was it?
Yes. That's a very fair complaint from the side that prefers CrossFit over WFP. And you have some of the most popular athletes that walked away from CrossFit under the same, kind of mindset. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it is fair for people to be saying, give me transparency, give me all the details, to the same people who left CrossFit saying we're leaving because you're not transparent and you didn't give us all the details.
Okay. Do you think it's wrong if it was built for that reason? Do you think that's like a real reason?
I don't think there's ever a wrong reason to start a business. You think you can do it better, go do it better.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I'm a basic white guy. I've got a podcast. Like, we all basic white guys have podcasts. Like, we all think we have something better to say than the next guy.
I'm going to,
and I feel the same way about business. If you can do it, just go do it.
Right. Like, why, like, shoot your shot, and everybody either wants to make money or feel fulfilled or whatever it is. Like, who cares? And if they can survive, that's great. Like, I hope they do. I hope both can. I don't want either of them to not, but we're all doing the same thing. I'm going to pull this comment. Somebody said a while ago, everyone at WFP has experience. So saying they are learning on the fly is a bit of a cop-out. I just look back to my other jobs. Like, I worked for Target. If I went to go work for Walmart, even though it is very similar, the processes and procedures are vastly different. Like, yes, there are going to be some similarities, but there's a reason why you're still going to have to go and train for 8 weeks, even though I basically just did the same exact job. So I don't think that's fair to say that just because they've worked for CrossFit or other events in the past, it's obviously a different season structure. They're trying to do things a little bit different. So there are going to be things that they don't know or that they're trying to do differently. So Matt, I'm so sorry, but I don't agree. You're not hot for that comment.
I also think, like, with the whole Jason interview, I felt like he did a good job taking accountability for some of the mishaps that happened. He said it was on their team. He explained like you said, he explained what happened with the GHD, he explained what happened with the bikes, he explained their process. And I think that, like, he is the event director. He's the one who knows those processes. I didn't feel like there was any question Peter asked that was avoided in any way. I think he also, like, this is a well-known person. Jason runs the Monster Games, has other events, and I thought it was cool. It was kind of towards the beginning. Peter asked him, like, do you think running WFP and the Monster Games and the other event that I think is a little bit less known he runs is sustainable? And he was like, absolutely not. Like, I don't think that's sustainable. I'm figuring out a system in which, like, what I can offload, what I can do. Like, when people are asking for transparency, I feel like that, like, go watch that interview, because I think he answered all of the questions with the most information he could give people, is how I felt about it. And I thought that he, in general, like, having spoken to him a little bit in person, seeing him in action, like, is not like a political kind of person. He's a very straightforward, like, I'm here to run an event XYZ. And I think that's how he answered those questions too.
Grant said he didn't avoid it. He said he isn't going to get into some things, which I think is fine. And sometimes I think that that's what we confuse as transparency. Like Peter, now I forget already, was asking him about them approaching Torian, and he was like, I'm not going to comment on that. That's not my thing. And also, like, not for me to say. God forbid there's like things that somebody can't talk about because things haven't been disclosed yet to the public. I think it's so weird that we do think that we're owed those things. Like, we all work, I'm sure, have other jobs, and understand that there are just some things that you can't go public with until it's done. Am I right? Isn't that crazy?
No, you're not crazy. I think this whole argument around, people complaining about WFP saying they're not transparent enough, or, tell us this, tell us that. The same things that people were complaining about CrossFit about. Those that are currently complaining about WFP don't really want transparency. You have to recognize that. They're just giving back in kind what they got before. They don't really want to know. They're not even fans of WFP. They're not watching, right? They're trolling it. And that's okay. That's their right to do so. I still think WFP should be taking that as feedback.
Yep.
And figuring out, a media strategy for how do we, get this information out in front of people quicker when people do complain about whether it's the lighting or whatever the hell, it's going to be. They should be taking notes and fixing those things and updating, the people that are fans through media releases. No different than any other sports league that's out there.
Do you think that the state of media after what happened at the games last year, or like 2 years ago, the way in which WFP started all that would make it hard for the WFP to decipher what's worth listening to and what's not, because there is such a strong negative narrative right now in the space?
I don't know. I guess it depends on how touchy you are about the feedback. I think all feedback is a gift, whether you like it or not. I have plenty of things said about me that I'm like, well, that guy's an asshole, but I still got to listen to it.
Yeah.
Somebody told me the day they didn't like my sweater vest, and it hurt my feelings. And I'm like, damn it. But that's feedback. I still like the sweater vest.
Sweater, is it going to go in the trash or no? We're still going to wear it?
Yeah, no, I got to trash it now. But my point is like, even though I like the sweater vest, I still got to listen to the feedback and decide if I want to accept that opinion or reject that opinion. And that's all they have to do here. No different than any other sports thing. That's all CrossFit has to do. They don't have to listen to anyone. Like, I'm as much a complainer as the next guy. They don't have to listen to me. They don't owe me anything. They don't owe any of us anything except.
But people do feel like they owe us something.
Well, they do owe affiliate owners.
Fair.
I mean, people that own affiliates, yeah, they should, they do owe them. They're paying money for all of this. They're funding the games, basically, but the rest of us, no, they don't owe us a thing.
So to wrap up, what would Tour Stop 3 or the finals in Copenhagen, or we'll say season 2, have to do in order to stay hot? Because we all agreed that it's hot. What do they need to keep doing or change?
Who's going first?
You can go. Let's hear it.
Well, I don't think they need it. From my perspective of what makes them hot, I don't think they need to change much. I mean, I think, I mentioned earlier, I'd like to see it on YouTube or, something easier to access, but I'm also a little lazy. So I recognize that. Outside of that, the events, the athletes, all those are fine for me. I think if they continue to do what they do, which is bring up young athletes which by the way is a monster win again for CrossFit. Like the beautiful part about WFP, what makes them hot is they're actually going to enhance and make CrossFit better, and it's not going to cost CrossFit a damn cent. Like affiliate owners should be cheering for the WFP because it's going to save them money. They're basically creating this free farm club of young athletes that are getting to learn how to compete under the lights. They're not only getting competition experience, but they're getting travel experience. How do you handle game day nutrition? How do you live your life when you're out of town? Keep in mind, these are like 19-year-olds. They don't all understand life, right? None of that costs CrossFit a cent, not even a cent, right? It's just building the brand. It also lets all those teams we mentioned earlier, all those volunteers, support teams, medical, like they're getting muscle memory, like real life experience handling things on site that I promise you they will go back to CrossFit and go, hey, here's something happening on the medical side that could be really valuable that will help CrossFit at no cost to them. Again, like huge savings.
So
what?
So I wanted to interrupt you because you said, I think what they're doing is fine and they're creating a farm league. If they don't want to be fine and they don't want to be a farm league, what would you say they need to do?
Well, first of all, I think they should want to be a farm league because a lot of those athletes, like I mentioned before, will stay with WFP. It wasn't that long ago, guys. We were watching James Sprague at the teen games.
Yep.
Right? Like that dude's a kid, right? He's a young dude. And, they come up quick, really quick. So I don't think that's nothing. I think they need to lean in heavy on Copenhagen. European fans are crazy. They love CrossFit. They love, getting together and, they don't have air conditioning. So what do you expect? It's good to come together under one roof. I'm kidding about the air conditioning thing.
So what I hear that you're saying is that they don't need to necessarily change much because they're doing a fine job, but they're not on the same level and might not ever be on the same level as the CrossFit Games.
I don't know if they will or they won't. I guess my point is to get this thing moving and to stay hot, they got to go all in on Copenhagen and make it a big deal. Like you guys saw the semifinal videos coming out of Europe and Australia, right? And then if you went to a semifinal in the United States, you're like, are we even fans? Like, what is like, do we even like this? Because in Europe, they're like throwing shit, and Australia, they're firing off cannons. Like, it's just insane. And so I think if they make Copenhagen that, let's not be too sanitized here. Let's like make it hype, get people, fill the stands and get enough eyes on it, enough people to actually see it. I think that's a huge step forward for them.
What about
I think that also that like the 3 female podium athletes all being European, correct? Yeah. Like that's going to make Copenhagen that much better.
Mesa, what do you think they need to continue to do or change? I know like it's hot, but in order to stay on the trajectory that they're on.
I view it kind of different than Wooley does. I don't think that they have any intentions of being a farm league. I think they're going to come out, in my opinion, swinging of like, you got to pick. And they're going to make people pick, and they're going to try and compete with being the biggest fitness league in the space. I think they keep doing what they're doing and then making it bigger. Like that's all. Like I think for the first 2, it's been pretty damn good. I think keeping the athletes really happy, making the athletes feel really important is like a really good start, because right now in the space, I think it's so important for the athletes to have something good to say.
I think John's frozen, and I thought he was just taking a really long drink.
I was like, does he hate what I'm saying that much?
Maybe he's just kidding. I don't know. Anyway, continue.
But yeah, I think that I also agree with you. I know people were saying that you were like, it's called stubbornness, that they're like saying we believe in this and we stick to this and we're going to keep it on our website. I think for sure it's important to take feedback, but I also do think like staying in their lane and staying with this is what we set out to do. We're going to do it regardless of what anyone says, and not kind of being malleable is going to Oh, he's on a different stage. Okay.
I'm back.
Is gonna pay off. They just have to like stay the course a little bit longer.
I think after having this conversation, I've kind of changed my mind.
John, you're just giving her the red pill. Okay, go on.
No, not even that, but just like thinking through it as we're talking it out loud. It's hot, but I think it's going to be hot in its own thing. I don't think it's, and I don't know if they want to be the CrossFit Games. I don't know, but I think they need to really lean in. What's going on with my voice? Those 100 burpees got me. I think they're going to be their own entity, and I kind of feel like that's what they need to do, like not compete with the CrossFit Games and be their own thing, whatever that looks like. I guess a fitness league is what they're calling it, right? But I think what would make them like their demise, if you will, is maybe trying to continue to compete with CrossFit, because they're not going to do the fittest on earth, I think. Right, because that would be silly. There's no way they can do that. But I think if they lean into like doing their own thing and making it what it is and continuing to do that, if that is making any sense what I'm saying, like I think that's their jam, and that's what they need to continue to do, and not give in to what other people are saying and trying to make it CrossFit. It should just be WFP.
I agree with that. I do. And I think if they do that, they have the potential to be as big as they want to be.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. I literally was just saying I never lose my voice.
Yeah, so I lose my voice all the time. And in Arizona, because I was talking, like doing interviews all weekend, and it was so loud, my voice was gone. And Kate was like, I've never lost my voice in my life. My vocal cords are perfect. So this is your karma. Are we asking John a hot take, even though he's not a guest?
Yeah, I didn't tell him, so he's going to be on the spot.
Oh, okay. Bring it.
Hot take about anything, fitness, CrossFit, bands, food. It could be anything controversial.
I don't know if I have anything controversial in my life right now that would be considered a hot take. I've been trying to fly under the radar so much. I'm barely even reading the news.
Oof.
I got in an argument with somebody the other day about sending National Guard to DC only because the National Guard was from Mississippi. And my hot take was Mississippi should mind its own damn business. They got their own problems. And they told me they were from DC. So they're like, this place has got a lot of crime. I'm like, you've obviously never been to Jackson, Mississippi. Like, my 20 hillbillies that are pulling into Washington, DC in their Humvees going, all right, get over there, buddy. You know, like, no, they're not going to help you. They're not going to help you fight crime in DC. Let them go fight it in Jackson, Mississippi.
Ed says, hot take, Bean loves his new siblings.
He does not. He does not.
Not
I am in full. Right before I came on the show, I was building a cat tree, so I'm in full cat lady mode.
You know, one of my previous clients, she moved, DM'd me and was like, I saw Wooley was going to be on your podcast, and you have to ask him about his cats because we DM all the time about cats. And I thought that was hilarious.
Dude, this is a true story. True story. I was at the age group CrossFit Games a week ago, and this woman came over to introduce herself to me. And I've talked to a lot of people at these events, right? And so you see the signs when people walk up, what level of nervous they are. This one was at that shaking level, right? So she's like kind of trembling, and she's like, hey, and she like taps me on the shoulder. I turn around and she goes, are you? And I'm like waiting, and I'm like, yeah. She's like, Bean's dad? And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Seriously? Like,
that's amazing. I love that.
For the first time, someone didn't ask me, are you the meme lord or are you John? It was like, are you Bean's dad? I'm like, I messaged both my daughters. I'm like, well, you guys are obviously number 2 and number 3 in my life now, apparently.
It's Bean. Bean's the number 1.
PC said that they should send teachers to Mississippi in response.
Hey, you're not getting it. You won't get it. That's not even that's not even a hot take. That's true.
Anything else that you want to share with us, John? Or you're a busy guy.
No, I'm having fun on the new podcast with Sean. We got some great guests coming up. You know, I really like the diverse array of guests that we've been having. We just had a young lady this week who was born with a brain condition, missing part of her brain. And she's a world champion ballroom dancer, and she does CrossFit, and, really just, kind of a fun conversation with her. So getting to talk to people like that's been really exciting. We got some athletes coming up. We got some normal people. So we got some professional wrestlers. We got some crazy people coming on. So just enjoying that right now.
I love it. Tell the people where they can find it.
Yeah.
Not for Time. You can find it on our Not for Time YouTube channel. You can find clips of it on Morning Chalk Up, and then there's both audio channels, Spotify and Apple.
I love it.
Man, that dog's losing his mind tonight.
My kids are being so bad right now.
I can tell.
So bad. All right, John. Well, thanks for yapping. Thanks for doing Hot or Not.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Me and Mesa will stay on for a few minutes and do our closing stuff. But go follow Wooley Memeth and Not for Time podcast and support them. And we'll talk to you later. Thanks, John.
All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.
Bye. Guys, my animals are being so bad.
This is literally why I do my podcast at my gym, because I can't. My animals would ruin my life.
They were being so bad today. The mountain, I missed the barbell spin episode last night, so I don't know anything about it. I've seen the other episodes, and I guess it's hot. It's funny. Well, it's trying to climb on the table. What else? Anything from this week?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I feel like I am barely keeping my head above water coming back from Arizona. Y'all, owning a gym's hard work, and being gone from a brand new gym is extremely difficult. It was such a fun time. I was telling Kate, like, we were talking about this. It feels like we were there for 5 minutes and 5 years at the same time.
Agreed. It's like it flew by. I was like, I can't believe we've already been here for 5 days, but like the days are long, not in a bad way. Oh my God, I'm gonna lose my mind. Not in a bad way. You're just busy the entire time. And we had like an awesome Airbnb with a pool, and we didn't even get to enjoy it because we were just on the go the entire time.
Yeah. And like, when you're at the competition early, you stay there late, we're podcasting, we're editing content. It's like the most fun thing ever, but you come back kind of, as you can hear my voice, rough and exhausted. I don't think my voice is ever coming back. I coached the last 3 days between coaching clients and patients, like 12 to 14 business hour, I think 15 or 16 at the gym. So, yeah, it's just, it's always tough. It's always tough coming back from that. But I think we had such a good time in Arizona. I don't know how to explain to people who haven't been to comp weekends how like exhausting and amazing it is all at once,
Yes.
It's like the best feeling and also the toughest.
And we talked a lot about the first time we went to Tour Stop 1, we didn't know anybody at all. But like we made a lot of really good connections. Like we introduced ourselves to a lot of people.
Yeah.
People like knew of us, right? And then we started the podcast, and we're like, we get to see all of our friends, everybody that we talked to online and everything. When we got there, we were like, isn't it so crazy that last time we were together, we were just talking about having a podcast, and now it's like going.
Yeah, and I do feel like so many people, I was talking to my dad about it today. He was asking how it went. And I'm like, so many people knew, like, oh, you're Mesa. I remember you from last time. It made for easier interviews because, there's a little bit of trust built up. Not a lot, obviously, but a familiar face. They know I'm not going to ask them anything crazy, hopefully just from like the one experience. And then, the athletes, obviously Mesa being in Mesa made it easier to remember who I was. But we're like, oh yeah, I remember you. I got to chat a little bit more. We talked to a lot of media people. We got to meet Jason St. Clair, owner of X Endurance, who is freaking awesome. I literally have the lemon lime like product. Dude, that's so good.
It is really good.
Good. I put that in creatine, and I was like, I'm hoping this gives me PED effects, like he said. So we'll see. I know it's got to be like a little bit long. Oh, story of the week. I actually messaged him about it. That we got a bunch of X Endurance products from being at this launch party. Shout out to Jason. He gave us a ton of things to try, like a ton of things to try. We split them up. We get to the airport. We're like perfectly on time. We drop off, our rental car. We go and we get flagged, which I've brought creatine before and gotten flagged, but it was not a process like that. So they call like a supervisor. Some alarm goes off. They say they have to get the drug and explosive specialist who is nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, both our flights are boarding. And I'm like, dude, they're boarding. The woman is like, we have to unpack everything because you got an alarm. I have a Haven backpack that's like a suitcase. She's like aggressively trying to open it like a backpack. And I was like, it opens like a suitcase. But they were like, you can't get anywhere near them while they're doing this. Then they like give you the whole spiel about how they're going to like feel you up every which way. She like yelled at me because my hair was like this. She's like, it needs to be in the front. It needs to be in the back. And I was like, oh my God, my flight is boarding. So they finally do all this. And then Kate's like, I have all the exact same stuff as her. Can we test it at the same time? The guy's like, no. Finally, this explosive specialist comes. He's like, yeah, we can test it all at the same time. And they're literally opening like little bits of the X Endurance products, putting it on like a ting and dyeing it, waiting for it to change colors. And then the one woman's trying to repack my bag. She drops my camera, my nice Osmo camera. I'm like, could you not? And then she's like trying to shove it back in. And I finally looked at her and I was like, can I please repack my bag? And she like looked at me, looked at me and was like, okay, fine. So I start repacking everything. The dude's like handing me back the samples or the products as they come back, not exploded or not explosives, whatever. And he hands me them back, close, hands me the endure powder or whatever, endurance powder, open, hands it, puts it in my luggage, and it just goes everywhere. And I was like, I lost it. And you don't lose it at TSA. I know that. I'm foreign. We don't do these things. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So I start blowing it out. So there's like white stuff going everywhere. And he looks at me, he's like, what are you doing? I was like, you didn't close it. And I turned to Kate. I was like, make sure they close your stuff. And meanwhile, everyone's like staring at us. The best part of all of this is like, there's a 60-year-old woman in the same, I imagine she's around 60, same position as us. And she goes, look, it's just my protein. And I was like, she gets it. And then I literally zipped my luggage that I had to sit on and Tetris to make it. Hug Kate, sprint to my gate, make it. I'm on the plane and I get a text from you saying you made it. So
I didn't tell you, but the lady at TSA, she looked at me like the first lady that we talked to, and she goes, this is why you get to the airport 2 hours before your flight. I was like,
we
okay.
were also there like an hour and a half before our flight.
No, I don't think it was an hour. But either way, like that was her first day being in that position, she said. And like it was a whole thing. And it was 4 a.m. So they basically did cavity search us. They were like, do you want to go in like another room? Because we have to give you like a full pat down. So
no, I didn't. Okay. Someone said I snitched on you. No, she got alarmed too. And I was trying to make the process go faster by saying it's all the same stuff. Just test it all at once. Yeah. That was on me snitching on you. I was trying to, she was already alarmed, but she was in the line behind me. And there's one explosive specialist.
Our bags got flagged, both of them. So
Jason St. Clair, the owner of X Endurance, was like dying laughing. And he said, this happens all the time. And then he was like, did you keep it? I was like, yeah, after all that, I was definitely keeping it.
I kept telling them, I'm like, I'll just throw it away. Like our flight is boarding right now.
Like, when you
that's not how it works.
It sounds like it's definitely a bomb because you're like, take it.
Well, I don't care what, like, take it. I just got to board my flight. But then that lady was like, well, that's why you get there 2 hours ahead of time. So, so that was really fun at 4 a.m. I was like, if I woke up at 2 a.m. to miss this flight, and then now I'm not going to get home until midnight, I will lose it.
Yeah. And then I was like fully dripping sweat. We got on the plane and I was like, we made it.
Yeah, it was not fun. Other than that, it was a great travel day. I felt like it was very smooth. So
it was, besides our little explosive situation. Thank you, Nathan. But X Endurance products, we'll be reviewing them eventually because we did get to keep them. So
yeah, we got a lot of stuff. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Not really.
No. We'll be here next week. We may have a very special guest. Stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll announce Kate. Yep, that's me.
I think this should be your new name on the our names aren't up today. Weird. Okay. But on your name tag, I should say Tweedle Doctor and you should say Cocaine Kate.
That's me, guys, trying to smuggle drugs.
All right, I gotta go let my dogs out.
Okay, guys, it's been fun. Don't forget to what do you say? Like,
Subscribe, go follow our
follow.
Instagram. We have more stuff coming soon. Check out the one question interviews. I had lots of fun doing them.
Yeah, check us out. We'll be back next week. Talk to you guys.